All right. Thank you so much, Gurpreet, for coming on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
I want to just dive in. How did Core Movement start? What was the reason behind this?
It was for my own healing. It started in 2019. I just made an page that was anonymous, and I just wanted to connect with people that can share what I've been through or something similar to that. Or I wanted to like really share stories of others that it's not only me. I felt like at that time I was like, is it just me that has dealt with this, or is it my fault, or like why does this keep happening to me? Like what's going on? So it was just more of a connection for myself. Never did I think it was going to be a movement. Never did I think it was going to go global. Did not know it was going to become a charity like organization eventually. So well, right now we're a society and we're aiming for a charity now. So yeah, it was all just kind of just handed to me, I would say. Yeah.
Can you share a little bit about your personal journey? What did you go through? What was your
So
experience?
I've mentioned it before. I've been through sexual abuse within like family members, not like my immediate family, but like relatives. So I went through that when I was like 6, and then again with someone else when I was 10 to 14, and then again at a wedding that I went to, and like a granthi in the Gurdwara in India. So it was just like when I was younger, underage. Yeah, so I went through a lot of like different types of experiences. And luckily for me, like my parents were supportive. They've always like helped me and everything, but I know in our community it's so hard to understand. And that's a problem that my parents were having as well, of like letting it go and moving forward. And I didn't get the help because I didn't want it at that time, I guess. I just felt like I didn't want to talk about it. I didn't come forward with anything until years and years later. So there was all of this that was going on, and my parents finding out after, it was a shock for them as well. So now my focus is like giving awareness to parents, to future parents, like how you deal with these situations. Another thing is when victim blaming happens in families and whatnot. So that was my main thing. And then before starting the movement, when it was called Hush Hush, when it was just for my own healing, I was going through a mental breakdown at that time. I was not in the right state of mind. It was not good at all. I wanted to report my abuser. So I went through the legal process of doing this, only one of them that I wanted to report, and it didn't go well. Like the success rate of sexual abuse being like where you win a case is literally 3 out of 10 cases, 100 cases, and 3 out of 100. So that's like the statistics of it. Another thing was it was molestation, so something that's even harder to prove. Molestation is when it's just touching or inappropriate touch, and that happened multiple times with my abuser, with me, at family functions, at dinners, at weddings, and whatnot. So being able to prove that was very difficult. And then just the process of how like the justice system takes it and how they treat victims of sexual abuse, I just felt like it was not right. So now that I have this organization, my main thing is like if someone is going in to report their abuse, they're not going alone, and we send someone with them. So we have a team member that goes in with them. If you are going to a hospital to do a rape kit, we have a team member that goes with you if you're comfortable with that. If you want to go to counseling sessions, we provide free counseling sessions. So we'll pay for your counseling and then you get your counseling services. Because a lot of like benefits don't cover that much counseling, so that we don't want financial like financial issues in any of this, and that's why you're not getting counseling. So for that reason we provide that as well. When it comes to legal aid now, so if you're taking a case to court or if you're needing a lawyer for your domestic abuse, let's just say, we will link you up with a lawyer. We will try to pay the fees if we have enough funding, and then go from there. Yeah, so it's any type of support that the victim themselves need. Another thing is with victims, they sometimes want to approach the abuser or get some sort of closure. So I usually do that, and I'll mediate the conversation. or we'll confront the person and just see how it goes. Sometimes it doesn't go well, sometimes it does. Sometimes they're in denial, sometimes they won't say that it happened or they did this to someone, of course. So that's another thing that we do. We also help victims and survivors of sexual and domestic abuse open up to their family. So let's just say they're not wanting to do it themselves and they're scared to, or they've tried and it hasn't helped and it's made it worse. Then we get involved where we go mediate and we will sit down with the family and then explain like this is their side of it. Having a middle person sometimes helps. Yeah.
Oh my God, you have said a lot. It takes the time for me to process all that too.
Yeah.
Personally gone through domestic violence and, gone through that. Yeah, the need is so
Hard.
much there, you
Yeah.
know, and the language isn't there, the support isn't there. You're so right. You're in Canada, I'm here in the US, and yes, there's a lack here, but
Yeah.
it's so nice to see that it's happening though. We're not staying quiet. There's movement happening. There's,
Yeah.
something's happening.
It's
Uh,
especially in our community. That's the biggest thing. Like, like, yes, there's resources that we can, like, give to you, but those are other communities that, like, sometimes you can't connect with them or whatever it is. So my focus was making our community strong first. Like we're always there to help others, right?
yeah.
But can we help ourselves first? Can
Yeah.
we help our families first and stop focusing on others, just like other people? Like I get it. I get that you want to help other communities or other people, but how about you help yourself first, help your family, help your circle, help your community, and get stronger and have that strength to go help other communities. If you're not, if you're, yeah, the lack of it.
The conversations there's like ਆਪਣੀ ਕਿਨੀ ਬੋਲੀ ਆ I think ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਫਰਕ ਪੈ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ ਕਿਵੇਂ
Yeah.
ਇੱਕ ਗੱਲ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕਰੀਏ how do we even talk about this how do we bring this topic up ਕਿਵੇਂ
Yeah.
ਸਹੀ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਨੀ ਹੈ how to not trigger you know anybody and try
Yeah.
to keep a neutral ground basically.
Yeah, exactly. So like yeah, we're trying to I'm just going with the flow. Luckily, I do have a social work background. I graduated from Douglas College and like as a community support worker, worked so many years in that field as well, worked with homeless, trauma victims, disabilities, over 7 years of that experience. That luckily like I had the experience to start this society as well because I've worked in societies. My only thing was I worked with so many and I didn't like all of the rules and like certain things. So I'm like, you know what? Now it's my turn to start my own where I can make the rules. I am gonna expose people that are doing wrong or that have been like, like I don't want it hush hush. I don't want it under the carpet. Like if there's multiple victims coming out for one abuser and that person has a like power or authority, let's just say that needs to be public. Like, obviously, like, we're gonna go through the legal process, we're gonna bring that stuff forward. Well, legal stuff takes years. If I have more than two, three victims coming forward about one person, then they're not even related to each other, and there's proof, evidence, and so much. I feel like the public, the Sangat, the community has the right to know, like, what's going on. They have the right to know that, hey, like, this is in our community, especially when it comes to holy places. If you're a granthi and you're doing these things and we've exposed people, right? There's so many good granthis out there, let's just say too, right? Like, but my thing is taking out the bad ones. Like, like expose them, shame them. Like it also makes another granthi that might be doing that think twice before they do something. So it's just
exactly.
the awareness of it as well. And like telling people, like, there's so many people that got drawn away from Sikhi because of these things. So when we hear cases where there are females especially that get drawn away, even when we dealt with the Paisuka Singh case in the UK, the males that were involved in that were sexually assaulted by him, a lot of them left Sikhi. And that's one thing that like really hurts. And it's like, hey, like it's just because that person was wearing the bana, that doesn't make them God. Okay. So take accountability, call them out, and then like, focus on your own self and healing. But it's like hard to come forward because you know what happens? You're wearing a bana, you're Amritari. ਏਦਾਂ ਤਾਂ ਕੋਈ ਜਣਾ ਕਰ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਕਦਾ. Like,
Yeah.
he can't do that, but you have to think under all of that, it's a human as well. And you don't know what they're gonna do. And sexual abuse, like, yes, that's from a stranger, that's a grunty. I get that. But most sexual abuse happens within families, and 90%, this is statistics, right? So 90% of cases are within families. Like, a stranger isn't going to come and sexually assault you. That's only 10% of cases. There's 90% that is someone you're known. If you're going to Majabi school, let's just say, if you're going to like things that someone you're attached with or your family's attached with that person, that's the person that betrays you. And that's the sad reality of it. But we need to realize that reality and take precautions for our kids.
Now, let me ask you, as someone that's been through and everything, and now as a mother,
Mhm.
what are the first steps, I guess? Let's go through that.
I would
Like,
say after like bad touch, good touch should already been taught at age 4, 5, 6, 7. Like, this is right when they're going into school. These bad touch, good touch has to be
and you're
taught.
talking about a very young age. Like ਉਸ
Yeah,
time ਤੇ we are taught like ਇਹ ਜਿਹੀਆਂ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰੀਦੀਆਂ ਹੁੰਦੀਆਂ, like ਕੋਈ ਨਾ
exactly.
ਰਹਿਣ ਦੇ. But no, it is you started at that age.
You rather have them not be naive and be
Mhm.
able to come to you. Imagine your child is being touched and they don't even know that's bad.
Yeah.
And when I got sexually assaulted, I was 6 years old.
Yeah.
So, like you don't know. And then you need to have that conversation with your child and be like, this is what's happened. This is what can happen. If someone is touching you here, and like, you can make a little thing out of it where it's like where the child understands that that's a no-no. That's a big no-no, right? And then like saying that, hey, if someone is doing that, you have every right to come tell me. I will listen to you. I will believe you. I will support you. All these words are necessary to tell your child. Another thing is if your child is uncomfortable giving a hug to someone, who cares if that auntie uncle gets upset? Your child is your priority. Don't let them hug this person. Be like, auntie, uncle, no, they don't want to hug you. That's completely fine. The auntie and uncle will be upset for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, make a scene about it, and then move on to the next thing, right?
But you
So,
can actually feel the energy, and I really do let the
yeah.
child feel out the energy.
Yeah. And just like, like sitting on laps and like do like, if the
Uh,
child is not comfortable, don't. Another thing is like I understand babysitting is like really expensive and like, but leaving your child, let's just say at your mama taya's house, where you're not even there, no. I'm sorry. I know we talk about trusting people, but your responsibility with your child is till the age of at least 18, I would say, when it comes to this stuff. 16, 18 at least, right? So you should not be leaving your child and going to work for 8 hours. Like, I understand, figure something else out. I'm sorry, or don't have children. Like, is all I'm gonna say. I know it's like straight up and like whatever, but
no, but
you're
you
gonna,
got to. It's a responsibility that I don't think females are really it
yeah,
is, it's a big responsibility having children and then
children. So
teaching them these.
yeah, and then be prepared for that, right? Like
Mhm.
have the finances, have certain security, like we have cases where fathers sexually assault their own daughters.
Mm.
Okay, so and that is the reality,
Mm.
right? So we can't just ignore all of that kind of stuff. So it's like if you're the parents, okay, you trust yourselves, but like how are you able to trust other people? Like, betrayal usually happens within families too. I'm sorry to say. Like you can trust your sisters, brothers, or whatever it is. At the end of the day, you have no idea what their thinking is about your child or what they want to do, or even grandparents. Like you just don't know. And second, like, okay, like there's another thing where kids are left for like sleepovers. No. Why are kids unsupervised at sleepovers? You're leaving them at your mama taya's house. I know the child's gonna be upset. I used to get upset, but I used to be able to go to sleepovers. Things happen there, right? So that's when kids experiment. They don't know what's going on. They're learning about the body. They're growing. So imagine you haven't talked about sexual abuse or anything with your child. Then you're letting them have sleepovers with opposite sex, which is your first cousin. I understand. But look at my cases on my page. 300 cases. My first cousin did this. My this did this, right? You just have to like you need to know. Even the people that have done the molesting, let's just say to when they were younger, some of them come forward now saying, I can't believe I did that. I didn't even know I was doing something wrong. So there are men that come forward that say that even females come forward, hey, like I was experimenting, I was a child, I didn't even know what I was doing was wrong. So that's why these conversations are important. That's why leaving your kids unsupervised, okay, you want to have a sleepover? Fine, come to my house, or like I'll be there. I'll be in the same room, same everything. It's like, you want to have a sleepover? I'm supervising. But like any parent can say that, right? And like, are you gonna get the 100% supervision? I don't know. I believe like until the age of 18, no. There's none of that that should be happening. If there is, it should be supervised. There should be some sort of something where more than one parent is involved, and there's trust that you can somewhat build and let your child be there. Your child's gonna have phases where they love you. There's child that's gonna have phases that they're gonna tell you I hate you. You're the parent, you're gonna deal with that. They will thank you when they're 30 years old, is all I can say. Yeah.
I totally agree. I know there's things I have to do that, they don't like me for, but
Yeah,
you got to think about the 10 steps ahead, like what if this happens and this and that. And yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
I don't let them go. I don't let them have sleepovers and things like that. And we've
Yeah.
talked about the touches and things and everything.
Yeah.
But that's what we have to do. And I feel like, especially like this is the age where, yes, we're teaching them. Well, for me, I'm teaching them because they're younger right now. But then
Mhm.
you go into the preteens. Those are the times as a parent you're trying to, you're not, you're not yet a friend. You're
Mhm.
still a parent, but you're transitioning into a friend. And that's when that age is so you have to be so careful because those things become more they're going out in the world,
Yeah,
you this is
exactly.
a test and trial error basically,
Yeah.
like
And
they're
yeah, even when I talk about strict parenting, I understand be strict about certain things. If you're going to tell your girl, like your daughter, that you can't wear these clothes in high school or whatever it is, and you're overly strict, I understand certain clothes, yeah, you don't want your child to wear, perfectly fine. But if you're really strict with that kind of stuff, they will just buy them when on school lunchtime. And then, like, I had someone in my class that used to do that. They'll go into the washroom, change up, and when their parents are coming and picking them up, they'll change again. So now they're just getting used to lying. Another one is like, oh, you can't go to parties or you can't go to certain things. You can't block them off of everything. Like, they need to have a social life when it comes to high school, and like, but have boundaries set up. Either way, they will lie to you and they'll be like, I'm going to the library, but they're going somewhere else. So like, just having those like communication, like at one point you do have to be that friend where they're able to come and open up with you. Would you rather have them lie about, like, get good at lying and lie about everything that they're doing in their life and like hiding their boyfriend or hiding whatever? You rather know, right? As long as you're aware of it and then you can set the boundaries for that child. Imagine not knowing any of it. Everyone around you, you're holed up, but all of them know, but you're the parents. That's usually the case. And that's actually sad because it's like that means your parent doesn't have that much communication with you, right? So having that, making them feel like, hey, like you did it when you guys were kids, like, in high school in India and whatnot, like, let them enjoy their life too, but also have boundaries with the children as well. Like, setting them, and then the kids are aware of it and they'll respect it. If you say no to everything, they will go out of hand. They will go out of their way to do things that doesn't, like, make you happy.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I sort of give that to the parents. The parents need to give themselves credit too for what they foundationally put for the kids and let them do. Those are little white lies, going to the library, going somewhere else. Like as long as the kid's okay, safe, I want to make sure like when they're in a tough situation, the first person they think about is let me call mom because she's
Yes,
what she's gonna do.
yes.
She's gonna be the
It's
one taking care of me.
yeah,
My friend's in trouble. Okay, let mama call then she'll take care of this.
exactly.
That's the
Yeah.
person you want to be eventually for that your kid is
Hmm.
not the person like, oh, mama nu na pata lag jave, ye na pata lag jave. You don't want
Yeah.
that
Yeah, you
in a
don't want that.
relationship.
Especially during the ages of like 14 to like 21. You don't want that. You want that where they're able to share everything with you and they're not secretive. And you have to build that bond with them. And that's when I say, like, hey, if someone has been like, let's just say, like your daughter or like son comes up to you and is able to come up to you and share that someone has touched them in a wrong way, look, they're coming up and coming forward to you. Now your duty is to know the steps of that. You have to educate yourself. How am I gonna approach this? What am I gonna say? What are the things I cannot say to the child? So remembering those kind of things, educating yourself on those matters, it's all important. At the end of the day, they're your child. Log ki kahange, that's a huge, like, it does not matter
Yeah.
anymore,
Yeah.
right? And one thing is like, ਉਹ ਤੇਰੇ ਮਾਮੇ ਨੇ ਕੀਤਾ, ਹੁਣ ਅਸੀਂ ਕੋਈ ਫੰਕਸ਼ਨ ਤੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਫਿਰ ਜਾ ਹੋਣਾ ਸਾਡੇ ਤੋਂ, ਅਸੀਂ ਮੂੰਹ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਦਿਖਾਉਂਗੇ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ? It's like, why are you putting the blame on the child? ਉਹਨੂੰ ਕਹੋ ਵੀ ਉਹਦਾ ਮੂੰਹ ਕਾਹਤੇ ਕੋਈ, like, like
Yeah.
blame the person. Or like, I had a case where the mother was telling the daughter, like, ਜਦੋਂ ਵੀ ਤੇਰਾ ਮਾਮਾ ਆਉਂਦਾ ਹੈ ਨਾ, ਤੂੰ ਕੱਪੜੇ ਪੂਰਾ ਕਵਰ ਹੋਇਆ ਕਰ. Don't wear shorts, don't wear certain things when he's here.
Adjusting to his needs.
Yeah,
Or
you're inviting a person over that is looking at your daughter in a wrong way, so unsafe, so, like, messed up in so many ways, and telling your daughter to adjust according to him. Like, this stuff needs to change in our community. That's the reason the movement's here. That's the reason we want people to get educated on things like this. Because this type of trauma, when it comes to sexual abuse, it affects your life.
yes.
It affects your relationships, your husband relationship, let's just say with your partner, or your like wife, or your parents' relationships with yourself, the resentment you will have. Building relationships, trusting, dating experience will be completely different for a person that has been sexually assaulted compared to a person that hasn't been. Just everything, like, when person hugs you, touches you, there's things that will trigger. There's family functions that you shouldn't be going to if you are seeing your abuser there. So, things like that. And hopefully the family's cutting out the abuser and not you. So, things like that are so important because you do not want to be re-traumatized. You don't want to be put in those positions again. You shouldn't be seeing your abuser again. And like, like, it's just something that you need to be mentally well. And like, these things will affect your mental health. And people, like, I tell them, like, sexual abuse will affect your relationships. If you haven't dealt with it, if you haven't gotten counseling, if you haven't healed from it, it will affect your relationships. So parents need to know that this is such a huge deal that there has to be precautions. You rather have all these precautions, do everything you're supposed to do, than, like, deal with the fact that your child has been sexually assaulted, right? So let's minimize it, bring it more down so the chances are less, right? And I saw this documentary where this guy that was a sexual abuser and he used to target kids. He said he would target kids that he did an interview. He said he would target kids that the family situations aren't proper. They're a single child. They will target kids that are more vulnerable with disabilities. They will target kids that are very shy or don't talk that much. They will target kids where the dad is not strong. So the dad does not seem intimidating. So
Oh,
that's what
wow.
that guy was saying. So think about things like this, right? Like, look at the guy that is the perpetrator, and he's the one telling you, like, this is what I was looking for. Yeah.
It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But no, but that's true. You have to, and I want to take that to sort of a little bit towards the key. I mean, that's where you have to have a strong foundation. You have to have a strong um foundation, period, to be able to say no, be able to walk away from certain situations where you don't feel aligned,
Yeah.
And the same thing with the parent. The parent needs to be strong enough that yes, ਭਾਵੇਂ ਖੂਨ ਦਾ ਰਿਸ਼ਤਾ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ, ਭਾਵੇਂ society ਦਾ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ, that we're gonna have to let these people go because they're just not the right type of people. And it really
Your
goes.
family first. Your family is first. Your children are first, not your relatives. I'm sorry. Like, not everything is about, like, relatives and making them happy. How about you make your kids feel happy, safe, and secure first?
Yeah.
That's my main thing when it comes to things like this. Yeah.
It's like we talk about, especially like motherhood, having your tribe, having your community. Like, eh je bande you want in your community? No, you're supposed to expose them. You're supposed to get
Yeah.
them out of the community and
And
make
we
sure our
preach,
community is good.
yeah, look how we preach at Gurdwaras. We talk about the truth. We're trying to hide the fact that your child has been, like, and saying tera byan nahi hona ja aha ho jana hai. You're doing the opposite. Why are you, which I really frustrates me so much, is when parents go preach their Amrit Tari, they do everything, right? But they don't follow what they preach. So it's like, what's the point of you guys going there? Like, I get it, but how about you follow what you preach and give an example to your kids as well? Like, jo vi ho kende, ਅਸੀਂ follow vi ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ. We're talking about the truth. We're talking about protecting. We're talking about defending our own. We're talking about speaking the truth. All of that is in Sikhi. So how about follow that aspect of it? Don't pick and choose what you're gonna follow. Either you follow it fully or you don't follow it at all. Like, or you
Um,
try to follow it at least. You try, like, you, okay, not everyone is gonna be, let's just say, Amritari. Everyone has their own journey, own path, own way of connecting with God, for example, right? But
hmm.
if you are showing you are a certain person and this is your preaching and this is what you do on a daily, but not follow it, I just feel like it's a bad example for kids. I understand our goal is to follow it. Or I understand like that's our mission. Like, hey, eventually we will be able to follow everything that our Sikhi teaches us, right? But don't pick and choose. Don't like, don't tell your child, oh, ha ਚੀਜ਼ ਨੂੰ ਦੱਸਣਾ ਨਹੀਂਗਾ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਇਹ ਬਹੁਤ embarrassing ਹੈ. If we follow Sikhi, the first thing we would do is go attack the person that did this. Like,
Yeah,
I'm not saying go attack
exactly.
them. I'm saying go talk to the individual. Go confront them. This is what you did to my daughter. This is what you did to my son. Like, these are the consequences. Stop having family meetings and getting apologies. Go report the abuser.
Yes,
Like,
yeah. Ah, girl, yes.
yeah, like what are you guys doing? Like, if you're gonna have these family meetings, oh, sorry, kya detta hai, unka te tenu hath laya uska, and then shake hands and pretend like everything's
Mhm.
fine, what are you doing?
Yeah,
Like, I would never do that. If I had a child, like thinking about it now, I would never put them in that position where we're having family meetings and we're obligated to accept that apology.
oh my God.
Like, no, like report. What's the need
Exactly.
of the police? Why aren't we reporting this? You think you're the only child that, like, your child is the only one that person has done that to? If they've gotten away with it with an apology, they'll repeat.
Mm,
Okay? Sexual abusers are usually repeat offenders too.
yeah, wow.
So, yeah, just knowing all of this and like sticking with the truth and like speaking out when things are wrong instead of hushing the victim, you will help our community overall.
I want to bring a point because you brought up a great topic because I feel like yes, you come to a point, yes, maybe sorry tak pahunch jandi, gal ho jandi hai, and they're like, okay, chal maafi mange, gal, thale vaar de, or whatever they say, right? And I had a situation where my ex actually ended up taking my family to the Gurdwara and basically
Yeah.
asking for a divorce. Um, and I feel like these situations like probably come up too because you also want to add Sikhi to it, but you want an approval from Sikhi, but there is nothing in Sikhi for that either. So
No.
it's funny because my brother-in-law and my dad went to the Gurdwara for this meeting or whatever, trying to do the Sula Salai, but yet asking for whatever. And my
Forgive.
dad was like straight up like, ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇਹ ਕੋਈ ਜਵਾਬ ਲੈਣਾ ਉਹ ਮੈਥੋਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਮਿਲਣਾ ਉਹ ਸੁਪ੍ਰੀਤ ਤੋਂ ਹੀ ਮਿਲੂਗਾ. And
Mhm.
I'm not gonna get involved. And ਇਹ ਜਗ੍ਹਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗੀ. This is not the place, not the time for this. Like,
A lot of people, like I'll tell you, like there's people that I've exposed that
mhm.
are like well known in the community, and their way of dealing with it was like God knows everything. Vahiguru at the bottom. Like, they use Sikhi as a way of like committing
Yes, they're using it.
too. And that's so sad. And it's like I've had people that they'll post, oh, God knows I would have never done this, and then Vahiguru at the bottom. Like that's just their way. And I'm just like, okay, so now you're gonna use Sikhi as a way of getting out of this. Or like using that to empathize, or like using that to like, get your followers to think that you are right just because you use those words. Anybody can do that. Song Khaniya, anybody can do it if they want to get out of something. That's just again the sad reality of things. Like, things aren't taken seriously. So yeah, it's just yeah, no. Like, to have real conversations, like put that aside when it comes to these situations, have real conversations and then talk about other things of how you're gonna deal with it with your relationship with God, you know? Don't bring that and then bring up all the conflict as well. Figure out the conflict. This is what you want to do. This is how you're gonna sort the situation out, and then do your own spiritual healing the way you want to do it, right? using that as a weapon is just disgusting, to be
Yeah,
honest.
I totally agree. Well,
Yeah.
I know I literally went jam-packed with you, but I want to step aside. You deal with so much and you're helping the community. How is your mental health? What do you do to disconnect, take care of yourself, Gurpreet?
I'm crazy sometimes because they're like the amount of stuff you deal with. Maybe it's the education aspect that I have of it, so I know how to deal with cases like this. Also, everything is about the truth for me. So as long as it's truthful, there's nothing to fear, nothing to be scared of. Another quote I always say is, when I kneel down in front of God, God stood up for me. And when God stood up for me, I realized nobody can stand against me. So that's what keeps me going every day. Another thing is, I don't even know how I have the energy to do this every day. This is not my full-time job. This is a seva. I don't make any profit, any dollar from this. This is just my time that I'm spending. Just like other volunteers, I'm also a volunteer of the Core Movement. And it's just, I'm numb to the cases, to be honest. My thing is moving it to the next person and getting them to heal and getting them counseling, moving forward in life, and now to the next one and the next one. As many as we can help in our community. So as a community, we're strong and whole again and not have all these issues of like, not only sexual and domestic abuse, but like alcohol abuse, because that ties with things like this. Drug abuse, that ties. Everything is a circle, like everything ties together. So just like, working on that. I do a lot of laughter yoga. I laugh a lot. So that's one thing I
I
do.
love that.
I do laughter yoga and I go to a lot of comedy shows. So
That is good. I
that's what
love
my
hearing that.
go-to when it comes to that. And I have my own counselor that I talk to about things. Cases aren't easy to deal with, of course. We recently got a case where a man committed suicide in the video. So he actually shot himself. So I had to watch 30 minutes of him talking and in the end shooting himself. So like if I post that, again, when I say like we only post 5% of our cases. So the gala that we're gonna be having on February the 22nd, where everyone's invited to and like you have to purchase tickets, that's to show like what we do behind the scenes as well. It's not just like, the cases that are public on our page. Those are minor, minor cases. And everyone thinks those are big ones. The ones that we get are really, really like a lot. And they're all confidential and they're not shown to the public. So imagine 5%. But yet in a month, we probably get 150 to 100 new cases a day, a month. So that's the reality of things right now. And after COVID, it like went higher. So yeah, so my thing is like showing people at the gala, for example, like this is the stuff we're dealing with. And this is like, these are some stories that you guys don't even know about. This the only stuff you know is the stuff we publicly posted where the victim or survivor has given us consent to post, right? And that's usually just a story, not like a person talking about their abuse. So there's a lot behind the scenes. Yeah.
Yeah, Gala is definitely on my radar, girl. I'm gonna try. Let's see if Waheguru makes it happen.
Yeah.
But tell me a little bit about this gala. How can we support? What is it
Yeah,
about?
so
You
it's
said a
our
little bit about it.
first gala. So currently I've never done a gala before. I'm always like dealing with cases. I'm not really public. So now I'm trying to be where I'm getting the community together. So the gala is to raise funds for sexual and domestic abuse. So counseling isn't free. Going with victims every day, like, going and doing things, it costs money, gas money, all of this kind of stuff. We deal with like the legal aspect of a lot of things, and legal fees are so expensive when it comes to emergency shelter, getting a hotel for someone, when it comes to like shelter for a short period or even a long period, that costs us a lot of money. So when I'm talking about cases, let's just say in a week I get about 50 cases. Out of the 50 cases, I am only financially helping 5 to 6. That's the reality right now. So my thing that may be counseling, that may be like shelter, everything, right? So my goal is now to have enough funds for our community so we don't have to say no or decline people that are reaching out. And that's the main thing here now. So that was my main thing. And actually February 22, 2019 was the day I started the movement. February 22, 2025, I'm having my first gala. And I didn't even know the dates, actually. It was such a coincidence, or I don't know what you would call this. But yeah, so it's gonna be on our 6-year mark.
That is such a beautiful full circle moment.
No, I was like, is this a coincidence? Did I plan this? How did this happen? We're like,
Oh,
okay, this is the haul we got. This is the deal we got. Let's go with it. And then I was talking to my team about a month ago, and then we realized it's actually the day that I started the movement. Yeah.
oh, that is so beautiful, hon. I'm so happy. I'm so excited for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, I'm
And
actually really excited for this too, and just getting the community together and just even survivors and victims seeing the community get together for them is such a big deal. They already think they're like alone. So seeing a community full of people getting together and supporting victims of sexual and domestic abuse speaks volumes for them. Yeah.
you even got a big shout out from Karn Aujla too.
Oh yeah. Oh, he's amazing. The people in our like he donated a lot of money. So like just that overall, like him and Indie Core, Munj Music, Shumber, Wamaka Gabi, like all these like, celebrities that have been Niru Bajwa, she posted. We have influencers that are sharing so much. Yeah, it's just so nice to see. Bashambar Das, she's actually a judge magistrate in the UK, first female South Asian. She's flying out from the UK for this event and she'll be hosting it, emceeing. So, yeah, she will be emceeing the event. And then, yeah, it's just amazing to see how everyone's getting together. I don't know if you know Kimi Verma. She used to be in all the Harpajan Man movies. She's flying out for the event.
Oh my God.
There's a few. So the support, like from Karan Aujla, for example, that gave us a lot like of more support coming just behind him, and
Mhm.
he's always supported the core movement, so it's just great to see men getting involved, knowing that this is an issue, knowing everything. His wife is amazing
Mhm.
as well. Yeah, so it's just really nice to see that they're getting involved and they know this stuff is the truth and the reality of the world right now in our community. So like, we can't fully, the goal is to fully get rid of sexual and domestic abuse, but the realistic approach of this is how do we decrease it? How
Yep.
do we know that there's other services out for people that would sexual and domestic abuse that can come forward and not be scared anymore?
Yes, definitely. And yeah, the exposure definitely helps for the community and getting
Yeah.
more names out there. Oh my God. I know I've taken a lot of your time and I picked your brain about it.
Yeah.
Was there anything else you would like the listeners to know or
To anybody that has dealt with sexual or domestic abuse, to anybody that has, let's just say, knows someone that has gone through it, let them know you guys are not alone. There's a whole community out here to support you. There's so many resources out there. Like whatever you're going through right now doesn't mean it's the end of the world either. You will get through it. You'll know everything that you need to know about yourself, and the strength will come within you. I'm telling you that because I was a victim of sexual abuse. I had no voice. I was the scared little girl that didn't know what to do. And now I have a movement. And now I'm talking about this openly and without fear. So don't be ashamed. Don't be embarrassed. The embarrassment and shame should be going on the person that did that to you. And that's our focus now. Shame those people, not yourself. You did nothing wrong. And you can reach out to us anytime. And our services are completely free, at info@thecoremovement.com. Yeah.
well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
This was just amazing. Our community definitely needs it. Keep doing what you're doing, hon, and I'm gonna be right behind supporting you.
Thank you so much. Thanks so much for having me.